everyone! Welcome to this week's episode of Yellow Ropes Forever, the NXT Rundown. My name is Sondra, and I am joined again, once more, by my dear close friend and wrestler extraordinaire, William Studd, because he has agreed to do another show with me. I keep making you do a lot of shows with me because schedules don't work out for a lot of people that I normally record with, so thank you. Thank you.
You know what? I did not mean to cut you off, but I really have enjoyed doing the shows, and so whenever you ask me, I will be there to do this because it's fun.
It is kind of
And
fun, isn't it? Like, NXT is a
it's
good show. It's fun to talk about.
it is, and NXT has really played a big part in me enjoying wrestling again.
And I'm really,
So
really glad
yes.
about that.
So anyways, it's glad to be back. I mean, I'm glad to be back. So
And I'm glad to have you back on the show. It's lovely. And I think this was another pretty fun episode. Like, I'm really glad that you decided to stick with NXT after the first one that you watched that was so, so bad.
Well, I don't even remember who was on that initial episode that I watched, but I do remember that I was like, well, this is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did stick with it, and I am glad because I have witnessed some truly amazing matches um, since I started watching NXT.
And just on weekly
Specifically,
TV.
yeah, well that and um, well specifically the Sasha and Bayley matches, but also one of the matches that we're going to talk about tonight. I really enjoyed the main event of the evening. That was a lot of fun, and it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was better than I was thinking it was gonna be.
I think it probably exceeded expectations.
I I would say you're probably right on that one.
It didn't
I
necessarily exceed mine, but that's only because my expectations were that it was going to be really good and better than most people expected.
Okay, that's fair.
Which,
Um,
it's not a knock on it. I thought it was going to be really good, and I thought it was really good.
I agree. I thought it was really good. I was impressed, and I did appreciate it. And I mean, I know we'll get into that later, but so yeah, I'm glad I stuck with NXT as well, and I really do look forward to seeing what continues to happen because it's a fun show.
It is a fun show, and I'm glad we get to watch it every week.
Me
And
too.
and we're going to get into the episode in a moment, but I do need to talk about something that I just saw when I logged onto Facebook just now. Well, two things. Two things. First of all, Solomon Crow got released, and that was sad for me. And I will never get Solomon Crow versus Marcus Louis in the proper basement monster versus attic monster feud that I've always wanted because they are monsters and one lives in an attic and one lives in a basement. And I just always thought that that should be the basis for a feud, right? And one of them had weird
Sound
hair
reasoning.
and one of them had no hair. I mean, I don't see any flaws in my logic.
I will go with this. Go with you on this.
But as you, William, know, when I logged onto Facebook to pull up our conversation from when we watched NXT together, I saw trending, number one trend on Facebook, Brad Maddox has been released. And I am sad. And I don't have any more details because that's all I've seen. I haven't clicked on anything. I'm sure I'll be posting it to ITR, and I'm sure I'll be very sad at the time. And I love you, Beef Mode. And that's all. But, yeah. I don't know. Brad Maddox was an institution in NXT, okay? It matters. It matters. I promise that it does. There has to be like one or two people out there that likes Brad Maddox also. Well, I know that there are. I know that there are people that defend Brad Maddox. If you're one of those people who defends Brad Maddox like I do, leave a comment. Leave a comment on YouTube. Console me about this because I'm very sad.
Seriously, she's very sad.
I'm very
So
sad. What was the first thing I said when I called you on Skype?
you said that Brad Maddox was released, and you were very sad.
Yeah, literally. He said hello, and I said, Brad Maddox is gone. You can
And I
confirm that's
was,
actually what happened.
I was there.
Yeah,
I was there,
I know.
and I was kind of quiet and I was just listening. I was being the her to cry on. You were
You
gonna,
were being like in your head, what the fuck, Sondra?
um,
Yes. But yes, laugh at me all you will. This is a very sad day for me, and I'm sure that I will talk more about this very important development on the next episode of the NXT Rundown slash Yellow Ropes Forever slash I miss you, Brad Maddox. I miss you already. But we will be
Oh.
getting into the actual episode in just a moment after this brief musical interlude, so be back after this.
Fabulous, yes. Diamonds on my neck. Yes, I'm fabulous. They keep hating on me, I don't stress. Don't got time for this, 'cause I'm fabulous. Capiche?
And we're back. So we are going to start talking about the episode proper now. And we open the episode with Nia Jax versus Carmella. Now, this is the first time Nia Jax has actually fought someone we know, right? Like, this is the first time she's fought someone else from NXT. So, as you would expect, the match was a little bit longer. It wasn't significantly longer. I mean, but Carmella did manage to get in a little bit of offense. And I know that you are not sold on Nia Jax. I am not sold on Nia Jax. I'm probably a little more willing to grant Nia Jax some leeway because she's new and she's just starting, and I think she's sort of trying to be a little meaner in the ring. She's doing some taunts. She's saying, "Hey Carmel, how you doing?" and trying to look all like, "Grr, I'm big and mean and stuff." But for me, the smiling is still a problem. Um, do you want to comment on Nia Jax before I, say anything else?
She should just stop. They should just cut their losses and just end this horrible science experiment because it's god awful.
If Nia Jax didn't smile, would you feel the same?
Yes, because she's horrible. The smiling just makes me hate her more.
I think there are some things that she's doing that are not indicators that she'll be horrible forever. I know that that's a lot of qualifiers. I don't think she's very good yet. I think that I say it, I think every single week, she's the Braun Strowman. I still can't get used to that R. I'm sorry. It's difficult. He was Braun Strowman for a really long time, and it's difficult because Braun Strowman is not as easy to say as Braun Strowman, and that's my thing on that. But she is the Braun Strowman of NXT. Bear hugs and all. She basically bear hugs ladies to death and then does not a super great spine buster and then a leg drop and done. She does that pin that you do on Louis Perez, except for she smiles at the time. The
Oh.
one where you're like, no, I don't actually give a fuck, and I'm just gonna like have my hands on your chest and not actually try to pin you because you're dead.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that one. But I like that Naya is a different style of wrestler. I like that Naya is a big lady who adds more diversity to the women's division. I like that Naya has a very different offense style. I think that she is still very working on that offense style. I think she could end up being a good thing. I do. And people improve and people get better, and I am more than willing to grant her that. My thing with Naya, and I know that I've said this before, but I feel like Naya is hindered by all of the other women that are in the division because everything that Naya does, someone else in the division is doing better.
This is very true, and they rushed her to TV, which was a mistake. Um,
Yeah, because she hasn't been doing this that long. Nia Jax was put on TV much sooner than a lot of the other talents have been.
yes, and I don't understand why. It would be different if her talent would have justified that, but it doesn't. And I don't know if they thought that maybe they could cover it up, but her smiling is not covering up the fact that she needs a lot of work.
I think what hurts Naya is, like you say, I think that she was rushed onto TV too soon. But I mean, so was Dana Boobs. Dana Boobs was awful in her debut. She was so bad, and I don't think have I shown that to you? Have you seen the match actually, or did I just show you all the rubbing?
Just the rubbing.
Just the rubbing, yeah. The match was awful too. Uh, and I think that's the only way that you can kind of get better, right? Is to do things and to wrestle and to learn. And I think they've been putting her in there with people who can teach her what she's doing. Carmella's not necessarily the example of that. And I do want to talk about Carmella in this match because, Carmella, when she started, wasn't great either. She had a hell of a lot of personality. I mean, she came in off those hair vignettes, which were so great. And if you haven't seen those hair vignettes, anyone, like, I say hair vignettes, but vignettes of her at her hair salon when she came in with Enzo and Cass and then started training with them and then got a tryout with William Regal and all this stuff. Like, if you haven't seen those vignettes, you need to see them because they are so, so good. I don't know. I liked Carmella in this match. I thought she looked kind of fiery and she didn't get a whole lot of offense, but she did that. Nia had her in her bear hug of doom. And Carmella seemed to, quote unquote, counter it into, it looked like some sort of guillotine thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naya had her in the bear hug, and it looked like Carmella was trying to crawl out of it and actually locked in a modified guillotine. It wasn't a true guillotine, but it was still good. It was a good guillotine choke, and then of course Naya somehow.
I think she ran her into the turnbuckle or something.
But yeah, Carmella looked good in this. That's a thing.
Okay, I was wondering what you thought of Carmella here because I know that, again, she didn't get in a lot of offense, but I thought that she was kind of spunky and I think she did well. I mean, she doesn't get both legs up on the drop kick, but nor do, half the people on the roster, so whatever.
Right, but that's something that she can work on and something that will come with time. I mean, a lot of times when you're training, and you're trying to do a drop kick, they'll tell you, well, just get one leg first and then worry about getting the other one. And so that could be where she's at. And so it's not like I would hope she's gonna keep working on it, but
It was interesting to see Carmella and Nia Jax, I think just because it's the first, it's the first NXT competitor we've seen for Naya. And so it seems like a thing is starting, right? Like last week we saw her maybe conspiring with Eva Marie, and now she is fighting Carmella, so she's becoming interwoven into the fabric of NXT. And I like that too. I really do. It makes for an interesting and well-rounded women's division. Like even though I think she's kind of shite in the ring, if she can put stuff together and if they can use her well and if they can use her as a big monster, like, I mean, how long have they been using Tamina Snuka as a big bodyguard and then also putting her in the ring, and she's no better than Nia Jax.
this is true.
Like, she is bad. She seems like a lovely woman. She does. But she is a bad wrestler.
This is true. But when was the last time that Tamina Snuka was on my screen?
Well, you don't watch wrestling as often, but she's been on the television very recently.
Oh, okay. Well then.
So after Naya beats Carmella with her kind of shoddy spine buster and then leg drop and then smile and what have you, I think we had an ad or something, but then Alexa Bliss is backstage. And this is one of my favorite segments of the show, actually. I loved this promo. What did you think about Alexa saying that she's going to be really blissed off, if she has to hear about the Iron Man match anymore? And then, saying that she's going to bliss slap Bayley.
That was something. It was, I thought it was kind of corny, I'm not going to lie, but it was.
Oh, it's entirely corny.
It worked for what she was trying to do. It really did work, and I do appreciate what she did there. It was just like, really?
Well, of course. But Alexa is just going deep into this thing where she is like, she's so about Alexa Bliss, right? Like, that's her deal. She joined Blake and Murphy because it was like, look, I can be the star and these can be my boys. Like, she's always called them my boys. She's totally the leader there and she's totally in charge. And for a long time, she was trying to make sure that they had the tag belts and that they kept the tag belts. And that was her thing, right? Like, my boys are the champions, but she was the one carrying the belts. And now Alexa is getting the chance to get a belt of her own. And Blake and Murphy are there in the background supporting her with that. So A, they're a cohesive unit. B, she's amazing. C, she wears these awesome, like, hand chain skeleton glove things that I love that look like this one thing that I bought at a Ren fair one time, right? And I don't know, I just kind of love everything about it because I feel like Alexa Bliss is just regressing more and more and more into, like, self-obsession and being all about her. And another thing I love about this is that she says that, oh, Bayley, you had a really good run. And she talks about, but, she wants the title too. And she's like, I didn't write essays to myself when I was in high school or med school or whatever. I can't remember. But, Alexa versus Bayley to me is actually a really interesting thing. And it leads to an interesting discussion that I've not really talked to you about yet. But when Alexa Bliss came in and Alexa Bliss looked like she was going to be getting a push, even before she turned heel and everything, it was okay, well, this women's wrestling movement that we have in NXT before it was called the hashtag Diva Revolution, right? Like, it was something that was happening in NXT without us having to say it. But you had these four women, and they were very different, and they didn't fit any mold, and they were putting on great matches, and they were compelling, and they were drawing money, and they were actually in main events, and everyone loved it. But then you have people like Alexa Bliss and Dana Brooke coming up, and they're kind of the next generation of the women in NXT, right? And so I remember reading articles and I remember having discussions about the fact that maybe we just had this time where there was this anomaly where this awesome thing happened where women were represented really, really well with really developed characters, but we're going to go back to the model look and we're going to go back to the bodybuilder look or the fitness look or the athlete look or the gymnasts that come in and want to be wrestlers. And I think at its core, that's what Alexa versus Bayley represents. And for me, that's really interesting because, and I'm not saying that Alexa is just a model or a gymnast. She is a gymnast, but she's a gymnast who came in and wanted to be a wrestler. And she trained with Our Lady and Savior Sarah Del Rey and, with all of the other trainers down at the Performance Center who are amazing. And she's gotten really good. She's not Becky Lynch good, but how many people in the world are Becky Lynch good, right? But she's been training and she's gotten really good. But it's still the kind of thing where she said to Bayley in this vignette, she was like, people like you don't get to be on top, or like people like you aren't made to be champion. Like people like me are made to be champion, meaning she's little and cute and pretty and she can look good in pictures. But for me, that's what Alexa versus Bayley represented, and that's why I wanted this feud to go on longer than it seems to be going, because we're kind of getting that, and we're kind of getting the idea that, like, no, Bailey's still awesome, and we're still totally behind her, and she's really good, and you're not going to be able to just take that away from her because you're little and cute, right? And I know that that probably was a very long little monologue from me, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Um, hmm. I didn't realize that that's where Alexa came from. As far as Alexa and Bayley, I like it. I like where the potential that it has, and I would like to see it continue. Just because Bayley has to wrestle what's her face next doesn't mean that Alexa can't interfere and bring it back around to her again and or whatever.
Well, I think we've seen, given last week's episode, that the women's division backstage scene is becoming more intertwined. So there are complex relationships going on, and I hope that Alexa kind of becomes part of that too.
Right. I think that Alexa versus Bayley, as far as what that means for the women's division, is as far as what that means for the women's division on NXT. On one hand, it's kind of the wrestlers versus the other athletes or models, but at the same time, you know, Alexa has transitioned from being just an athlete to being a pretty decent wrestler, and I think what it will do is help at least some of the women who uh, were not wrestlers to begin with. It will help kind of shine a light on them and expose that, okay, well, she didn't start as a wrestler, but she came in and she trained and she got pretty good, and and she can keep getting better. So I think part of me wants to say it'll kind of unify any split, but at the same time, I don't think that it will completely bring together the different factions or cliques or whatever, if you will, of the started as a wrestler or started as something else.
See, I guess in my opinion, it just makes for a more complete division.
It does. I would say that you're right, that it does make a more complete division, and um, And are you talking about the women's division, right? Not the
Yeah, a more
division
complete
between.
women's division. Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's a little confusing worded like that, but I think it's a little bit more of a complete women's division because you're not just focusing on people who were indie wrestlers, right? And you're not just focusing on the ideal. Like WWE in the past has had a very ideal type of woman that they want to bring in. I mean, look at a lot of the women that have been on the main roster in the 2000s. Um,
Right.
they bring in a lot of models, they bring in, the Diva Search contestants, whatever. Some of them have gotten to be very good wrestlers. A lot of them did not. Um, but I think that even if that's the type of woman that they're looking to bring in, I think it's really, really great that some of them are learning to become good wrestlers and that a lot of them are improving. And there are rumors that certain people have been signed or are getting tryouts with WWE. Nikki Storm, and she's not your typical model type woman either. She's your typical awesome wrestler who may or may not be from Scotland and who I may or may not love with all of my heart completely. So if we can bring in some of the women that they're using like enhancement talent, I just think it's really important. And it's a discussion I wanted to have, and it just kind of came up during this Alexa Bliss promo because she was talking about people like Bayley, and she also talked about how the other four horsewomen, they left you. They went to the main roster and they left you here in NXT where you belong. Now, I'm not sure what that means for Alexa because she's also in NXT. So that's where she belongs, clearly, but it was meant to be a derogatory statement. Um, and Bayley counters that later in the show. But I don't know. I think it's important that Bayley is still here because I think to cut off all four horsewomen from NXT and then just have a new guard come up kind of without a leader or without someone who's clearly on top, I don't think that would be as productive. I think that having Bayley there still is useful. And part of that, yes, is my bias because I want her there. And I don't want her in this diva revolution of clusterfucking that's going on the main roster because I don't like it. And I know everyone's really harsh on the Divas Revolution, and I'm not as harsh on it as most people, but I don't want Bayley a part of it because there's no room for her there. And she would just be another person. And she shouldn't just be another person. She should be Bayley, and she should be very special, and she is in NXT, and I love that. But the end of the segment, or the end of the promo, I know I'm talking a lot about this promo, but it was one of the most important things to me in the show. One of the refs shows up and says that Blake and Murphy are banned from ringside during Alexa Bliss versus Bayley later in the night, per the orders of William Regal, who is recovering from neck surgery. So props to William Regal for being that dedicated of a general manager, by the way, continuing to manage things generally while recovering from neck surgery. I have to wonder why he's allowing what happened at the end of the show, but whatever. Like, pain meds make you loopy sometimes. But that was one of my favorite things during the segment too, was Blake and Murphy reacting to Alexa in the background because they were just adorable because they kept being like, yeah, yeah, she's right. Next women's champion. Yeah, absolutely. And like pointing at her and being super animated. And they're not happy about being banned from ringside, but Alexa puts her hands up and says, boys, basically she can handle herself. She can take care of Bayley. It'll be fine. And walks off because Alexa Bliss is so all about Alexa Bliss. She thinks she can do anything. She thinks she's invincible, and we'll see if that works. But after that, we got Chad Gable and Jason Jordan versus the Ascension. You know how excited I was about this.
Yes, and I just didn't. I didn't understand at first, but then you explained it to me, and I will let you explain why you were excited because I don't think I could do the explanation justice. But yeah,
Okay, so we know how I feel about Chad Gable and Jason Jordan.
correct.
I love them so much with all of my heart. But the Ascension, the Ascension have had a very weird journey in terms of my journey with the Ascension and them being so shite for so long, right? Like they were so bad and they were champions for so long and I hated them so much. When they started coming out to the Death Clock music, it was like, I don't think this is really what you want to go for because it looked like they were trying to be like the Road Warriors or something, which again is a thing I only know because people tell me about it. So Yeah, and so the Ascension were tag team champions for a really, 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 really long time, and they were so boring that I would forget that they existed. And then the Ascension went to the main roster, were immediately buried by JBL, saying that they could barely beat people who just washed dishes down the street and weren't wrestlers, and who gives a fuck, much like Byron Saxton during this entire episode, saying that, they never fought Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. They never fought anyone interesting, which is entirely true, but seriously, don't say it on commentary. But the
No, you're not
Ascension,
supposed to bury your
you're not supposed
talent.
to bury your talent. Like, just don't do that, Byron Saxton. I know that you've been on Raw for a little while, but don't listen to JBL. Just ignore the fact that he's there. But the Ascension have gotten to be such a joke at this point, and they're so funny in the cosmic wasteland with Stardust, and I love to yaw. So everything about that made me so excited for the Ascension to come back. And it was as lovely as I thought it was going to be. I loved this match. I thought it was great. Like, apparently you can come full circle and be so shite that I fall back in love with you, right? Like, that's kind of why I was so in love with Brad Maddox. In a way. Like, he was awkward as fuck, but that's why I loved him so much. And he's actually really talented, and I will stand by that forever. But, and I'm still not over this whole trauma of mine. But the Ascension were actually fun here, I thought. And maybe that's just because I wanted to see them back. But the crowd was yawing. I mean, the crowd has taken to chanting, Gable, Gable. And they were chanting, yeah, 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 yeah. Because there there's something to be said for having, your own little chants and stuff. Like, Full Sail's the reason that Bayley got so big. Full Sail's the reason that we love Emma. Full Sail's the reason that Bo Dallas became Bo Dallas. And for anyone who's only seen him on the main roster, trust me, Bo Dallas being Bo Dallas, that's an amazing thing. And it's going to be one of your NXT history lessons, William.
Okay.
So, yeah. Full Sail's been really important to the progression of NXT, and Full Sail figuring out that saying "yaw" whenever Connor does anything, because Connor says "yaw," like that's his deal, like that's what he's been doing forever. And they figured that out, and they were like, okay, well, this team is so boring, but we're gonna find a way to make it fun for ourselves. And it's not a thing that's shitting on the wrestlers necessarily. And in this match, Connor and Victor were having so much fun with it, right? Like, Connor O'Brien was sitting there in the middle of the ring, like dancing weirdly,
Yeah, that was the thing.
which you thought was super weird and annoying, and I thought was delightful because I feel like the Ascension just gives zero fucks at this point.
Yeah,
Because
pretty much.
why would they give any fucks, right? Like, but I really,
Yeah.
really enjoyed this because it was them coming home. Full Sail embraced them back home. We all got to yaw. We all got to have fun with it. And Jason Jordan and Chad Gable are so, so good. And I thought this was actually, and not just because I'm blinded by like my amusement of the situation or just my excitement over the Ascension coming home or anything. I thought that this was a good match. Now, what did you think?
Um, I agree with you. This is probably one of the best matches that I've seen the Ascension in. I did tell you when I saw them at a house show here that they were actually really good, um,
Yeah.
for them. And but no, this match was really good. It does help that they were wrestling people who are competent and who, even more than that, who are entertaining. And so I know that makes a big difference, as I know you know as well.
Yes.
But no, I enjoyed the match, which I'll be honest, I never thought I would enjoy anything with Chad Gable in it. Or
Or Jason Jordan, because you
th-
hated them at first too.
I did. Um, and I
I'm
don't.
glad that you're coming around.
I'm not a huge fan, but as I've said previous episodes, that they. I have been impressed, and I do appreciate them, and I know that they're not working for my approval or anything, but they have impressed me, and I do look forward to watching them, work. So I may be liking them a little bit more than I thought I could or that I did before. As well as, excuse me, as well as respecting them. Um, so as long as I know, the thing that I've been harping on since I started seeing them was talking, and hopefully they'd keep working on that. But no, overall this match was good.
I think the crowd helped the match be pretty fun too. And this is where I do like Full Sail because, I mean, the crowd was so excited for this, right? Like, they're chanting "This is awesome" before the match starts, which I do have an issue with overuse of "This is awesome."
Yeah, I
Because
do
if
too.
everything is awesome, then nothing is really that awesome because it's kind of mediocre, right? But
Right.
fuck it. Like, I was totally with them on this one, so.
So as far as the match goes, it was good. Um, I still do not like their finisher, but I know they're trying to do something different, something, a tandem finish, and I respect that, but I don't like it. Um,
It's better than a leg drop.
well, this is true. It's better than a lot of things, but still doesn't make it good.
I know.
But you could see that Jason Jordan was having a lot more fun this time. He looked more relaxed and more into what he was doing, which, and I know we talked about this last time. That's good.
That
The
is good.
the more comfortable you get with this, the better off you're gonna be. I mean, assuming that this is what you want to continue doing, and if you are in NXT and hoping to get to the main roster, this is obviously what you want to continue doing. So,
Right. I mean, this is their
um,
full-time job.
right, lucky bastards. So, um, no, overall, I enjoyed the match. Which the only reason I didn't think that I necessarily would is because this was a TV match and the Ascension was on and were in it, and I don't have high hopes for TV matches with the Ascension because their TV matches aren't good. Their house
Because they're
shows,
not good.
they're not. Their house show matches are good, or at least better than their TV matches. But yeah, I was impressed, and maybe impressed is the wrong word, but
No, you were impressed.
I knew you were going to do that.
Because I win?
Maybe. We'll have to discuss this at a later time.
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'll go with impressed on that. They did impress me a little bit more, but Gable and Jordan have been impressing me each time I see them.
Which makes
Um,
me so happy.
I know. And I do have to admit, the Ascension was actually a lot better than there. This was a TV match that was a lot better, which I believe, they were in there with people who are competent, and that makes a difference. So,
And also, it seemed to matter. I mean, it wasn't for anything, right? Like, it wasn't for a championship. It wasn't for a contendership. It wasn't for any sort of grudge. It was Jason Jordan and Chad Gable want to be the world's greatest. I mean, no, we can't say that. They want to be
you
a
did.
great tag team. They want to have respect, right?
Yeah, yes.
And so they called out the most dominant tag team in the history of dominating dominance, the Ascension. That's all this was. But it still seemed to matter because beating the most dominant tag team in the history of dominating dominance mattered to them because they're on a quest for the tag team titles. And we're going to get Jason Jordan and Chad Gable versus the Mechanics someday, and I'm going to be the giddiest Sondra about that. So, fair warning to everyone. There will be squealing. I'm not ashamed. I'm so excited. And also, I have to say that seeing Connor being worked over in a corner was the funniest thing to me in the entire world. Because all Connor does is stomp people in a corner, right?
Right.
And shoulder tackle people in a corner, right?
Yes.
Like, that's all he does. And so seeing Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, stomping him in a corner and working him over in a corner, I was like, haha, the tables have turned. And yeah, of course Jason Jordan and Chad Gable won this match. Like, are we kidding? The Ascension or no. Like, they won everything for a year, but they don't win anything anymore.
Well, this is true. They don't win anything anymore.
No. We got a video package recapping the women's title match for later in the night, right? Like,
Yeah.
we saw the 6-person tag with Bayley and Alexa stealing the belt, but we also saw Alexa coming out right after the Iron Man match and congratulating Bayley and being like, "Let's hear it for Bayley," and everything like that. And the music when Alexa came out was just so delightful. It was so like boop a doop, like little pixie coming out, perfect. And then it went into like a minor key, which was just perfect, I thought. Like we're getting callbacks to her being a little glitter princess, but now she's evil, right? And I thought it was a really nice recap. And we got Bayley after that, just talking to Tom Phillips. And I will say, and everyone on this, or everyone who's listened to the show knows how much I love Bayley and how much I will like never say anything bad about Bayley, right? I don't think Bayley is the best promo. I don't. I think that she speaks like someone who's being interviewed who doesn't have a lot of experience being interviewed. And I kind of love that about her a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Would you care to explain why?
I think that, well, okay, first of all, do you think she's a super good promo?
She does not cut a super great promo, no.
She doesn't, right?
No. She's not horrible, but she's...
No, she's average.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know how weird it is for me to say anything about Bayley that's average.
Yes.
Yeah. The reason I like it is because Bayley is the every woman, right? Like,
Yes.
Bayley's me. Bayley's everyone. Bayley's the girl who wanted to be a wrestler, who's a wrestler now. She wanted to be a pro wrestler, and she's not going to be polished in her presentation necessarily. She's just going to be real. It's the same reason I like Daniel Bryan's promos a whole lot, and I think he's really good at them, when a lot of people say that he can't speak, which I think is ridiculous. She's authentic. She's not polished. She's not the greatest actress necessarily, but she doesn't have to be, because what she's saying is real and it's from the heart. Now, I think Bayley is coming to the point almost, she's not quite as bad. She's almost being used to the point of Finn Balor being king of exposition. They're almost making Bayley queen of exposition in some of these promos, and that I don't like. But she does sometimes sound like she's reading from a script, but some of the time she just sounds like she's talking and might stumble over her words a little, but that might be what I do too. And that might be rationalizing, and it probably is.
I would say it probably is,
It
but
probably is, but it works for me. And so I was kind of wondering what you think, because I know that you do place a lot of, I don't know, like you notice promos a lot because you do them.
how Bayley comes across to me during her promo is that she's someone who is still working on her promo skills, um, which it takes a long time. It took me 10 years to be able to cut promos the way I can. You know, it doesn't come overnight. And so she, like I said, she comes across to me as someone who's still working on these skills, but that will eventually get to the point of, I believe she will get to the point of being able to cut a really good promo, unless they want her to stay at the every person, every woman that, anybody, is a Bayley type of person. And if that's coming across the way I intend it to, at least.
No, I know what you mean. Like if they want her to stay awkward.
Yes, unless they want her to stay that way. And if that's the case, she may be able to cut an amazing promo right now with a little more time. Even if they want her to stay awkward, the awkwardness will become easier for her. um, and if they want her to get to the point where she can cut a promo like Chris Jericho or The Rock or anybody necessarily, or Hunter, whatever, that I think that she will be able to get to that point, because look how far she's come in her in-ring competition, her in-ring skills. I really don't think that Bayley's going to be hindered by promos. I really think that she'll get to the point where, she'll go out there and knock a promo out, and it'll be done, and it'll be good, and it'll be easy. And until, until time goes on with, NXT and the Fed and everything, we're not going to know if they want her to polish up a little bit or if they just want her to stay awkward. I would like to see her polished enough to the point where promos are easy for her, but I
I guess
wouldn't.
I want her to get to the point where she doesn't sound scripted.
That's what I mean by easy for her.
Right. Like I don't want her to sound so scripted, which she still kind of does. but I never want her to get to the point where she's just giving these promos that are so grandiose or anything. Like, I want her to just have conversations backstage, and I think she's sort of getting to that point.
Right.
I mean, I guess the main point of the promo that she gave with Tom Phillips was that Alexa Bliss, said some stuff about her, blah, 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 blah. And Tom Phillips was like, how do you react to this? And Baylor's like, yeah, the other four horsewomen left, but I'm still here because I have this. And she points to her belt on her shoulder. And she's like, Alexa's going to find out what that means. And basically, she's going to be Alexa tonight. And that's going to be the thing. And then after that, we had another women's match, actually. We had Emma versus Mary Kate, who I had never seen before, but the crowd seemed to be really into. And I looked her up, and she actually wrestled in TNA for like 3 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was interesting. And I don't know, I kind of liked Mary Kate. She seemed kind of like a cartoon villain monster lady.
Wait. Was she the alpha female in TNA?
I didn't watch TNA, and I closed the Wikipedia page, but let's see.
Oh. That's why.
It was Rosie Lotta Love.
Oh, maybe not then.
Ta-ta.
It's a horrible name, by the way.
I know, right?
That's just
Rosie
shit.
Lotta Love was her name.
No thanks. They didn't do her any favors when naming her.
No. She was called Betsy Ruth for a while, and she was also called Sister Ophelia at one point. And then she signed with TNA, and she used the name Rosie Lotta Love, and I don't know what any of this means, but so she's been a wrestler.
I was just curious because she has the same physique, same build as the alpha female.
Also, I thought this was good. I really liked Emma versus Mary Kate. The announcers could not stop making Full House jokes, but I also can't blame them.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, please continue.
Because I was thinking it, and I was like, oh, I should be super annoyed that all you can talk about is Uncle Jesse and Ashley and, whatever, and Stephanie and DJ. But also I kind of love it because I am so a child of that era. And yeah, like Tuesday nights, I was allowed to stay up till 8:30 because I got to watch Full House, which was on at 8, and that was a thing. And I don't know why I still remember that, except for that I do. So
That's okay.
But no, I thought Emma versus Mary Kate was good. I mean, Mary Kate just made me laugh with her cartoonish gestures, like holding her arms up and being like, what? What? I'm gonna hurt her. And then Emma was like, no, fucking bitch, I'm gonna hurt you because I'm Emma and I'm cold and dead inside. I hate everything.
Right?
I don't know. There's not that much to say about the match itself, except that Emma's so evil.
She is, and I really enjoyed that. She did the thing again where she pulled the hair she got in the.
Is she setting up for the Emma lock?
Yeah,
Right?
I really liked that. I don't think that was the intent the first time she did it, but
I think it was.
I really feel like well, the first time she did it, the lock slipped before she even bent back to cinch it in. So it seemed like she reached and grabbed the hair and then did the boot and then decided, oh, well, that works. But I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just how it looked to me.
But when I was watching it today, it looked like she did get the lock. But then when she grabbed the hair and stomped on her, that's when the lock slipped.
Well, that's how it looked on this one. I was talking about the first one we watched. The first time she did that, we saw her do that.
Okay, yeah.
The first
one
time we saw her,
Shaza?
yeah, the first time we saw her do it, it looked like it was an accident. But this time, it was intentional. That's just how it appeared, though.
Because she figured out that it worked.
Right.
And so she did it again.
Yes.
Which is great. No, yeah. No, I was just saying tonight, I think it was intentional. But no, I really, really like it. I like her standing on hair and, making people do bridges, which physically, if someone's standing on your hair, like, why would you do a bridge? That doesn't actually make sense, but it looks really good in a match.
Yeah, but yes, as far as functionality, it does nothing, but please continue.
No, but also because wrestling is totally a reason. So I'm willing to go with it. And I just like Evil Emma. And I liked that Evil Emma was facing a larger opponent who looked very foreboding because I
Yes.
think that Mary Kate did. I think she looked very vicious, and I think that she looked like, no, I will towel over you? No, I will tower over
I'll hit
you.
you with my towel.
I will hit you with my towel. No, that's Chad
I,
Gable's deal. But I liked that, Mary Kate looked like a very formidable opponent, even if we didn't know her, so she was clearly going to be the jobber of the situation. But she looked like she could maybe not be. And I like that NXT has fostered that, I don't know, feeling or reaction in me. Like, even if I know Emma's totally going to win, I like that she won over someone who looked like she might be able to kick her ass and also was kind of cartoonish and had hilarious facial expressions. So I was
I
into
like
it.
the way you put that, but I know I was into it as well. I mean,
You know what I
obviously,
mean, though, right?
yes, and like you said, we kind of, it was a given that Emma was gonna go over, and that's fine. We want Emma to go over. We like Emma,
We do like Emma
but
and her gloves.
and her gloves. Which did she wear them in this match? I don't
She
think she
did
wore.
wear them. She had to take them off halfway through, which
That's
amused
right.
you.
That's right. I enjoyed this match. I finally learned what the Emma sandwich is, which to be fair, I did know you did tell me last time, but I
You keep
actually,
forgetting, though.
I do. I do. Uh, I enjoyed the match. I enjoy the Emma lock. Like we were just talking, I enjoy the build up to the Emma lock. Um,
I like how vicious she is when she puts in the Emma lock.
she is. She's been a little more vicious here the last few matches that she's had, and I really like that, especially since she's evil Emma, and I have a thing for being evil, as you
Yeah,
know.
you do.
Um, and I just appreciate when I see somebody else who's doing evil well. So
And I
yes.
mean, she's always been vicious about the Emma lock, but everything else is getting so evil now. And I mean, I think I told you, my dream for Emma has always been to see her in a no DQ match so that
Mm,
she can do the dilemma to someone and not have to break on 5.
right. You did tell me that,
Yeah.
and I would like to see that.
But Emma does win with the Emma lock, and of course she
Yes.
does because she's awesome. And then the only really, I don't know, indication that we get that like singles men's wrestling still happens on this show is,
This
and that's
is a
something I was going to mention at
freaking.
the end,
It's a
but
promo. That's
it's a
it.
promo, right? Like, and
Yes.
and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying this is like I love this episode. We see Apollo Crews versus Finn Balor and Baron Corbin costing Apollo Crews the title, or maybe costing him the title, maybe not, but like interrupting the thing and making it so that there's a DQ loss, so that Apollo Crews doesn't get a chance at the title, really. We see Apollo attacking Baron Corbin before the match last week, where he was supposed to fight Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, who walked off smartly because he's like, no, I fucking fought you twice before and you just end of dazed me and I don't want to do that again, so go you, Ty Dillinger. Um, I swear I'm the only one that's gonna ever remember that, but
Probably.
that's what happened, okay?
Okay, I
Swear.
believe you.
But we did see Baron Corbin doing an interview with a WWE disembodied interviewer, and it wasn't very good.
Um, not at all. It
Like, I mean, I
was.
said that Bayley is average at promos. What I mean by that is that, Bayley isn't super polished at promos, but Bayley can do promos and get her point across, and she's still great.
Yes.
Baron Corbin cannot do that.
Yeah, I really, other than if I wouldn't have known that he was butthurt at life, I wouldn't have known what the hell he was talking about. I
Yeah, who
mean,
knows?
yeah, he wants Apollo Crews, okay.
And he says
Is
that,
that it?
Apollo, you probably would have lost that match anyway, and, you probably wouldn't have even been the champion, and blah, 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 and who knows, and destined to be a failure, and
I,
I'm challenging you to a match at TakeOver because that's what happens, and
I didn't
dreams
realize
don't
that,
come true or something,
yeah.
and,
I realized
like,
that Baron Corbin was a prophet, so he can see all the things that are going to happen.
apparently, I don't
Yes.
know. But I'm actually kind of stoked for Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews.
See,
What?
I don't understand that either. I mean, I know you like Apollo Crews more than I do.
I do.
Um, and Baron Corbin is just what that
I feel
is.
like he's gotten better in the ring, though. I really do. I think Baron Corbin versus Samoa Joe was good. I feel like Baron Corbin versus Rhino was good. I feel like Baron Corbin is Roman Reigns in so many ways. Like, it occurred to me during this episode, I think I told you when we were watching it, Baron Corbin is Roman Reigns in all of the ways, right? Like, except for being Samoan and except for being part of a wrestling family. Baron Corbin has been a guy that they're like, no, he has a look, we're going to push him. Baron Corbin is terrible at promos. Baron Corbin is a guy who was not very good at singles matches, but showed some promise. Baron Corbin is a guy who's getting better at singles matches and is showing more promise. And soon Baron Corbin's going to be a good wrestler.
Oh God,
And everyone's going to be like, fuck, Baron
I
Corbin's a
just
good wrestler. When did that happen?
I don't have high hopes for that.
And even if he's not super great right now, I mean, he's awful at promos still, like really completely awful. I feel like he's starting to learn how to make the crowd hate him in the right way instead of in the no, seriously, like you're just shite way. I don't know. It's almost working for me. I have said Baron Corbin gets good. I'm more than willing to acknowledge the fact that he's good because it means that he's good and he'll have a job and he'll be, better at wrestling and that'll be better for wrestling and that'll also be better for me because it will mean less shite on my television, especially when it comes to NXT where wrestling is supposed to be my happy place. So, yes, Baron Corbin had a promo and it was bad, but I have high hopes for him. Maybe. But that was the only indication that singles men's wrestling is even a thing in NXT because we move on to another tag match. We had Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Mechanics, who are totally still called the Mechanics in my head, and they will be forevermore. And if they ever get merch, I will buy it and I will write the Mechanics on it because that's what I'm going to do. And they fought Cory Hollis and John Skylar, who we don't know and have never seen before.
These are facts.
Yeah, and basically all to say about the match is that Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder killed Cory Hollis's leg totally, completely, and 100%. Like, as Stuart and I were talking about last week, I now own your leg, and it is mine, and now you do not have it anymore, and now you will die. And that was kind of it, right?
Right?
And it was great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not, like, great as in, oh, the best match I've ever seen, but
No, but
in
it
terms of
was
strategy and in terms of what it needed to accomplish.
yeah. It was good, and the finish just made them dicks. But that's just because
What do you mean by that?
they work the leg, work the leg, work the leg, and then they go and they hit him with a regular pin instead of making him tap for the leg.
It was a different guy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's why I said
Sorry,
poor
I'm falling
John
asleep again.
Skylar. That's okay. But no, it was a different guy. That's what I thought was so funny about it, was that they worked the leg of Cory Hollis for so, so long. Like the entire match, right?
Right.
And then finally, Cory Hollis manages to either like kick or hit Scott Dawson in the face or something and crawl across to his partner. Finally, after his partner had not been in the match at all. And commentary even said, we haven't seen any of John Skylar in this match. They got names, so
Instead
that
of
was a
just this guy and that guy, yes.
yeah, because sometimes, especially in these tag matches, like local competitors don't get names. So they got names, which was neat. And, he tags in his partner and immediate shatter machine, boom, 1, 2, 3, and you're done. Like, I don't know why they didn't just shatter machine the first guy, but maybe they just wanted to have fun first. Maybe they like collecting body parts. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that as a motivation, by the way.
Right.
I really liked it. It was the tag team champions going over in a very dominant fashion because they're the tag team champions and also they're the Mechanics and I've loved them for so long.
I did enjoy this one. I'm not quite as sold on the Mechanics as you are, but I do appreciate them. You when you told me that they were good wrestlers, I watched and you were right, they are good wrestlers.
Thank you.
And which I wasn't arguing that. I just wanted to see for myself, but and I know you can respect that because that's how you are about certain things too.
Yes.
And for this basically being a squash match, it was good. It was good. And um, I look forward to seeing what they do with the Mechanics as far as who they're going to be. I know, isn't it next week? Is it next week or at Takeover where they're wrestling the Vaudevillains again?
I think it's next week, actually.
Okay. Um, and I like that. I like that matchup. I mean, you know, the vaudevillains are good, and then the mechanics are good. And, I felt kind of shafted, and I think I'm fairly certain we talked about this, but that the vaudevillains were the tag champions, and they weren't on TV because they lost the stupid tag team,
Tournament of Doom?
that.
The Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Yes. And
Tag Team Tournament of Doom is what I
that.
called it.
This is true. So we didn't really get to see the vaudevillains be champion, but so anyways, I'm hopeful for that match because they're good and it should be entertaining if nothing else.
It should be, and I like that we have multiple teams that are kind of in title contendership. Like, it's unfortunate that the Vaudevillains have been so overshadowed,
Right?
and I kind of get why. Like, they used to have a lot more of a presence. Like, when they were going to be fighting the Lucha Dragons for the titles, they had these awesome short silent movie things that I'll have to show you that like the Lucha Dragons were tying women to railroad tracks and then the Vaudevillains would come and foil their plans and they would like
That's
blow up
awesome.
the Lucha Dragons and the Lucha Dragons would like be these midgets and they had X's over their eyes and then the Vaudevillains would have these paper belts, right? And like there's nothing not to love about that, right? Like
Right. No,
everything
I
about that is
thoroughly
amazing.
that is pretty freaking awesome. I have to
Yeah.
admit.
And so that was their thing. Like they were these old-timey silent movie men. And now they're still sort of that, but they're actually just guys that come out to like old-timey silent movie type entrance and then do wrestling.
Right.
And they do really good wrestling.
They do.
And I love their wrestling. And I will always be in love with Aiden English because, if he could just belt out a WWE for me again, I would be so excited because that was his thing for a while because he would do Broadway show tunes.
Hmm.
But I mean, I'm always gonna love the Vaudevillains, but they've just been kind of put on the back burner, and I think that's unfortunate for them because I think they're both very talented. However, I do love the mechanics so much, and I love Jason Jordan and Chad Gable so much. And we still have Enzo and Cass out there, except for Cass is injured. But we also, we have a lot of tag teams right now, and I like it. And I think that we're finally, even though we had a tag team tournament of doom, I think that episodes like this show that we're actually putting some focus on the tag team division, like the actual division
Right.
of the tag teams,
Right.
because that's what we had, right?
Yes.
And we'll get to the main event in a moment after a couple interviews, but the thing I loved most about this show didn't have any singles men's matches on it. It was 3 women's matches and 2 tag matches. And that was it. And I mean, in an hour, 5 matches, like, that's plenty of matches in an hour. But it kind of shows that NXT is willing to put focus on things that maybe the main roster's not willing to focus on so much, right?
Yeah.
And they were all seemingly important, even the squashes, because most of them were squashes, if you think about it, right? Like, I mean, Emma versus Mary Kate, that was never going to be a thing, right?
Correct.
Like, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder versus Cory Hollis and Jason Skylar. Did you even remember their names?
No, and you said their names like
Lots of
5 minutes
times.
ago at the longest.
Yeah, like that was never going to be a thing. I mean, Carmella versus Nia Jax was never going to be a Carmella win.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. It I mean, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable versus the Ascension was probably the least squashy of the matches tonight. And that's hilarious because of course the Ascension aren't gonna win because seriously, the Ascension.
Yeah.
And yet the show was really fun and it felt like it had consequence, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just excited about that.
I am glad you're excited about that.
It's just seeing a show that's 3 women's matches and 2 men's tag team matches. It seemed kind of remarkable to me, and I just wanted to mention it. But we did get Tom Phillips backstage with Asuka, and she's wearing a mask at the time. And he asked her about her mask or whatever, but Dana Brooke comes in, and oh, Dana Boobs, I just love you so much. Um, Dana said that, she respected Asuka until she decided to pat me on my head. And she said that in interviews before. Like, she's very big on don't pat me on my head. I will pat everyone else on your head, basically. And so she says that she's going to challenge Asuka to a match. And, what do you say, Asuka? And Asuka takes off the mask and just goes, yes, and smiles at her with her crazy eyes that I love and you don't, and then walks off. And then it's very odd because Tom Phillips is still kind of like, okay, now what's going on here? But Emma comes in and is like, okay, did she buy it? And Dana's like, hook, line, and sinker. So apparently Emma and Dana Boobs have this nefarious plan when it comes to Asuka because Asuka has accepted a match with Dana Boobs and that is going to hurt her, I guess. So we don't know. We'll have to tune in later to see what they have in store. And I'm
Yes.
actually kind of excited to see what their plan is. So I think it's working.
I think it'll be good. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm, you know, all excited for it because you know how I feel about things, but
Yeah.
um, it'll be good.
But I think we're
Uh,
gonna get Emma versus Asuka in London. Seems to be
yes.
the implication. And are you excited to see that match, or are you actually indifferent to that?
I am more excited to see that because it involves Emma. It'll be a good match. Um, Asuka is a good wrestler. I'm just not a huge fan of her at this point.
The kicking and the smiling.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Which is understandable. That's fine. They did tell us the main event for Takeover London is going to be Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. And we know this, and Samoa Joe gave a promo in which he had his top button of his polo buttoned, which is hilarious if you've seen the table for three between Samoa Joe, Adrian Neville, and Bo Dallas, because they spend a very good deal of time talking about how Adrian Neville buttons his top button, and I really recommend you watch it. It's also really good. It's about NXT, and that's cool. And Samoa Joe doesn't have that much to say because he's like, I just got here, basically. But yeah, it made me laugh that his top button was buttoned, and that was kind of the main thing I took away from it.
Hmm. I think that's
Um,
funny. That's the main thing you took away from it.
well, it was.
It's okay.
But I mean, yeah, I mean it was kind of your standard like Samoa Joe said that William Regal has banned him from the arena tonight. Again, William Regal recovering from neck surgery, still giving orders and whatnot. But Samoa Joe doesn't think that he's being banned for Finn's protection, or no, he doesn't think that he's being banned for his own
His protection.
protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, because William Regal implied that Finn Balor would come and attack Samoa Joe, but Samoa Joe thinks that he's being banned for Finn's protection because of what Samoa Joe will do to Finn Balor. He had sort of fucked up his words in the middle of it, and that is probably why I'm confused.
Yeah,
But
he did kind of stumble.
he said, like, I'm not here for your protection. I'm not here for my protection or something. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
weird. Um,
Yeah.
just like I'm fucking up my words right now. So
It's okay.
but basically they will fight. They will have a contract signing next week, and I assume that that will go down without any violence whatsoever.
Of course it will.
Yes, it will.
Of course. Because
Of
there's no
course.
other way to have a contract signing.
Zero other things have ever happened in wrestling with contract signings other than non-violence and peaceful signing with proper pens, I bet.
Right.
Yep.
Not a pen filled with, you know, acid.
Right. Pens never get stabbed into hands, tables never get thrown. None of that. None of that ever happens. But
Yeah,
then we
that
moved
sucks.
on to the main event of the evening. We got Bayley versus Alexa Bliss, and we talked about it a little bit before. Both of us really enjoyed this match, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought Alexa looked great in it too. I don't think it was just Bayley being great and wrestling around Alexa, which is kind of what happened in some previous matches. Not the one last week with the six-person tag, but in the past, there have been times where, people have had to kind of carry Alexa, which I don't think that's happening so much anymore. I mean, you even said her blitz flip or bliss flip or glitz flip or I don't
Whatever the
even
heck
know,
she's calling
whatever
it.
the heck it's called, the handspring where she does a back handspring and puts her knees into Bayley. It looked good.
It did look good. It looked a lot better than the first one I ever saw her do.
I think becoming heel Lexa has really helped because she's like, no, I will put my knees into you, bitch. Like, yeah, it would be more effective to not do the handspring and just like put your knees into the bitch, but that's fine. That's wrestling. That's what you do.
Yes.
I don't know. I kind of really just enjoyed this. There's not that much to say about the match other than Alexa kind of was working over Bayley's arm, or at least that was the story of it. I don't know that she did that many things to Bayley's arm to really make it super dead. I mean, it wasn't a Sasha versus Becky situation in terms of arm hurting,
Right.
which might explain why Bayley was still able to do double axe handles and Bayley to bellies and arm offense. Um, because I like to think that Bayley is better at selling on offense than that generally, because she usually is. But still, I mean, still, I thought there was a fun little story to the match. It wasn't super long,
No.
except, it was what, like 10 minutes, something?
Something like that.
I thought it was very fun. I thought that Alexa was very evil. I thought that Bayley was a killer. I thought that Bayley was very aggressive and definitely out wrestled Alexa, but I didn't think Alexa looked as outmatched as she would have, a few months ago.
I would agree with that.
And with Blake and
yeah.
Murphy banned from ringside, I think it added an interesting dynamic too, because it was just Alexa Bliss and Bayley. It wasn't Alexa Bliss with help and Bayley. It was Alexa versus Bayley. Alexa was outmatched and Bayley won, right?
Right. Which is, kind of what I expected anyways. Alexa did very well, held her own. I'm liking her more each time I watch. See, I don't hate everybody,
I know you
just
don't
most
hate
buddies.
everybody.
Just most buddies. So, but no, it was a good match. Alexa was much more athletic than I originally thought she was. I didn't realize that she was an athlete before.
Yeah.
And so, but no, it was good. You could definitely see some significant improvement in Alexa's wrestling, and I mean Bayley's always good, but she was pretty vicious this time. Um, Almost like she was getting she was punishing Alexa for her taking Bayley's belt last week,
That's
and
exactly what she was doing. I mean, she was
and
pissed about that.
well, and that's what I mean. I mean, it's it came across as that, which is good because that's what it was supposed to be. So it's a roundabout way of saying Bayley did a good job.
Bayley did do a good job. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, Bayley should be pissed that Alexa took her belt, but also in the match, Alexa was taunting Bayley still, like during the match. So Bayley has this killer fire, but it's kind of it doesn't cross the line into being a WWE babyface. She's still a babyface, right?
Right.
Like, she's still a good person. She's still not crossing the line of cheating or underhandedness or attacking someone from behind for no reason. She's only attacking people when they taunt her or when they do something to her or when they tell her that she's inferior. That's what sets her off. And I think that's important. And it's something I just want to keep mentioning because we have very, very few baby faces in mainstream wrestling currently. And I really like the ones we have, and I really want to continue believing in them. So please come back, Sami Zayn. We need another one. But no, I really enjoyed it. And I mean, Bayley wins with one Bayley to belly,
Yep.
which is fine.
I
Like,
agree. I agree.
it's her finisher. It should be able to finish a match. I liked it. And I think it was a well fought match. I think there were times that I saw Bayley kind of slowing down and kind of guiding Alexa a little bit, but that's, again, there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion.
No, I mean it's gonna have to happen. It's just a matter of I don't know how to put it. It's a matter of doing it at the right time.
And I don't know, I think they both did a really good job. And Bayley's still our champion, which we knew she was going to still be our champion, obviously. I did not expect Eva Marie to come out after this match.
I didn't either, and I would have preferred that she didn't.
I would have preferred that she didn't also. It seems very disconnected. It's very strange. Um, Bayley's celebrating her win, and then all of a sudden Eva Marie appears with
Yeah.
her music and her flesh-colored top. And so for a moment, I thought she had her tits out, and I was going to be really weirded out about that because it was NXT, and like Izzy's in the front row, and like, what are you doing, Eva Marie? I don't know. Like, just get a bra. But Eva comes out, and to her credit, to her credit, she is starting to speak like a Stepford wife instead of like an android from Doctor Who. Like, okay, I would say she's starting to speak like a Stepford wife instead of a Cyberman, which might not make sense to people who don't watch Doctor Who, but trust me, it's an upgrade. But Eva's still really bad at talking and at wrestling and at moving and at walking and at doing like basically everything. And she comes out and she says that, Bayley, the inevitable is happening. And next week, Bayley's going to defend her title against Eva Marie. Now, the crowd will barely let Eva Marie talk,
Which was hilarious.
which was hilarious.
Because she's terrible.
Yeah, she is. And I think she's actually enjoying that reaction, honestly, because from the looks of it, she was like, "No, quiet down. Okay, let me talk." But she almost started smiling. Like, haha,
She did.
you hate
She
me and
broke.
this is great. But Eva versus Bayley, I don't know. We knew it was going to happen. And that's why I say like props to them for putting in her script the inevitable is happening because they're going to get heat from the crowd for that, right? Like everyone hates
Yes,
Eva. Everyone loves Bayley. That's a reason that this works.
I agree. Especially considering Eva is so easy to hate.
Yeah.
She wouldn't. I wouldn't hate her so much if she wasn't so terrible.
At everything.
I know, right?
Like everything. Like
I mean, what the hell?
I wish Cameron were in this spot.
Yeah.
I don't think Cameron has the nuclear heat that Eva does because of, a variety of factors.
Right.
But I wish Cameron were in this spot. I think the match would be better.
More than likely, yes. I would agree with that.
So and my other problem with this is that we've talked about William Regal, king of logic, king of managing things generally, king of not giving Samoa Joe a title shot, even though he kind of earned it, right? Like he'd beaten everyone and he was like, "So Finn, we were partners and you're the champion and I want to be the champion and so I want a title shot," right?
Right.
And William Regal was like, "Nope, Battle Royal." And William Regal granted Alexa Bliss this title shot pretty quickly. Like, it took a little bit. It took after the mixed tag and then after Alexa stealing the belt. And they probably backstage had some things off screen where it was like, "No, she stole my belt. Now I need to fight her." And Alexa was like, "I want the belt." This, like, I mean, even Maxine couldn't blow William Regal enough to get a decent spot on the roster. Like,
Yeah.
which, sorry,
Definitely.
that's an NXT redemption storyline, but like Maxine's whole thing was wanted to like saddle up to William Regal and be like, "Hey, get me off this show," right? Like, what even is Eva doing? Like, how is she just getting a title shot? We don't know. But is that part of the work? Is that part of like, no, you hate her even more? I don't know. Wrestling is so meta. So I don't know. It's just weird to me, and we'll see how that match is next week, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So that'll be a thing, and I will be
Hopefully, it's
back to talk about
a
it.
30-second thing.
I I don't know if I hope that it goes longer or shorter, and I'm guessing my guess, because I've heard people, Shane, tell me not to look at spoilers unless I want to get upset. I'm guessing we're getting Eva Bayley at London again. I don't know this for sure.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see how all that goes. Bayley's our champion. Bayley had better fucking still be our champion after she fights Eva Marie because oh my goodness. I don't know how Nia Jax is going to play into this. I don't know what their backstage alliance is going to do. I don't know where Alexa Bliss is going to fit in because I feel like she's still going to have some beef with Bayley, even though this is pretty definitively over. But what I like about it is that the women's division has a lot of questions going forward, and I don't know the answers, and that makes me want to watch the show. So that's pretty exciting.
That is exciting.
Like that's kind of how it should be. I should want to watch
Pretty
next
much.
week. Like,
Pretty much.
I shouldn't just be like, "Oh, it's a thing I have to do again," I guess. Like, that's how I feel sometimes when it comes to other shows that WWE produces. But no, NXT is actually, for the first time in a while, it's making me go, I actually really want to know what's going to happen. And for a little while, I was even tempted to start reading spoilers because I didn't care enough. And I care enough now. And I think
Oh, I'm
that's
glad you
great.
care enough now.
Yeah, I do. And I'm glad that I do too because it means that you care. And it means that I can do this show without being like, oh, I have to do a show about NXT and I hate everything, right? Like, I don't want to become that person because then what's even the point? So I'm really glad that I care, and I'm glad that I don't want to read spoilers, and I'm glad that I'm getting more into the stories again, and I'm glad that I'm not viewing it as like, well, this booking decision doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not talking about this as in like, well, Eva's getting this push because blah blah blah, right? Like at any point did I just say that? No, I was like, why does Eva Marie get a title shot? Why does William Regal allow this? What is happening with Bayley? What is happening with these people? I'm totally immersed in the world again, and I'm really, really glad about that because that's exactly where I want to be. So thank you for joining me, William. I appreciate it.
It was great times, and I really hope that we could do this again.
I'm sure that we will. It seems to be a thing that we do.
I enjoy that thing that we do.
Yes. So, as always, I ask that you get in touch with us. Let me know what you think of the episode. Let me know what you think of me. Let me know what you think of William. Leave some comments because this is YouTube and you can leave comments below this video. Like they're right there and you can leave them and you can write them and I could respond to them. And it's like instant feedback, kind of. And that would be cool. I really like hearing from people. So, leave comments under this video, which apparently I think gets them seen more or something because they figure if people interact, then you're important. Um, like the video, share the video, subscribe to our channel, all those things that YouTube people say. Also, you can find Inside the Ropes on Facebook at facebook.com/The Inside Network. Hello, Gibson. And sorry, William's cat is saying hello. Hi.
It's hilarious that you can tell that that's her over through the headset.
Well, Penny sounds a lot like Penny's a little rumblier.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I know your cats.
Hmm.
So yes, you can find Inside the Ropes on Facebook at facebook.com/The Inside Network. Give us a like on Facebook. We always appreciate that. Join in the conversation. I am on Twitter at SandraRuthRW. William is on Twitter at WilliamStud1. And any final closing thoughts for the people?
Check back again soon for our next episode. I mean, not I won't necessarily be on the next episode, but I'll be back.
I'm sure you'll be back. I'm sure you'll be back soon. And Powerbomb Championship Wrestling has another show coming up December 6th.
It does.
If you're in the Toledo area, we would love to have you at the show. Mr. Sondra and I will both be in attendance. William will be wrestling. It will be a lot of fun. And that's all from us. So, yeah, goodbye, everybody.